Long before there were pharmacies, there were healers. Mothers, fathers, and neighbors who turned to the earth for wellness. Welcome to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast with Jim Applegate. Each week we explore the plants, traditions, and time-honored remedies that connect us to that ancient wisdom, so you can bring it into your modern life.
Bloating, constipation, heartburn. Most people treat these like a food problem. If they eat a little less of this, somebody that was talking to me about their wife had liver problems, and she knew if she avoided hot dogs and ice cream, she'd be fine. The people, if they have heartburn, just take antacid and go on with their life. They eat eat a hamburger, and they know it's going to cause heartburn, so they have their antacid at the ready just so they can eat whatever they want. The thing that Dr. James would often talk about is it's not only digestive problems aren't always just about what you ate. It's a signal that there's something going on in your body, and you want to pay attention to that signal.
Yeah, Dad had a story he told all the time about his father's blood pressure. Dad was on his mission serving our church and found out his dad had blood pressure issues, and Dad had been learning about herbs and stuff, and he decided to send his dad what he thought would help with blood pressure. He sends it to his dad, and his dad is like 1,200 miles away, and it actually helped. It happened that it was a bigger issue that he didn't find out about until later.
Yeah. So we're going to walk you through what that story has to do with. So Dr. James's father having blood pressure issues, but it was a digestive issue, and that through this herbal formula that he sent to his dad, and it's actually one that's still on our shelves, and it's like one of our top sellers because it works, and it works really well. You want to treat the system. So going back to the story of Dr. James's dad, basically they told him it was high blood pressure, but he actually had colitis.
Yeah, and they hadn't told Dr. James, because he was still a kid, that he had colitis or anything, but he, in his knowledge, sent him what he thought would work, and then his dad and mom share with him it was colitis, and what he sent fixed the colitis, which in turn fixed the blood pressure.
Yeah, it was funny when Dr. James would talk about the stories, like his parents didn't want to get him overly concerned, and it's like just a little bit of high blood pressure. But it was, from what I heard, the colitis was pretty bad, and he solved it just from the formula that he sent to him.
Yeah, I know we say it's not all food-based, but Granddad really liked his white bread. So.
and his soda.
And his soda. But all of us have our crutches. But yeah, that's...
Yeah. Yeah, so your dad, remember what your dad always used to say about making that formula?
Yeah. He said, I learned that there was a power greater than myself at work. It is never wrong, and it gives help and guidance when needed.
Yep.
The formula was Colser, and from that point on, Dr. James understood the digestive tract is connected to almost everything else in the body. Treat the root, and the problem you didn't even know you had starts resolving themselves.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk a little bit about how our digestion has effects everywhere else in our body. Dr. James once told me that in traditional Chinese medicine, all eye problems are a liver problem. Basically, if you've got eye issues or skin issues, like Ternity mask is one, the dots, especially getting liver spots on your hands and stuff as you get older, those are all come back to liver issues and your liver function. So that, and we found that to be true. If you've got, certain eye issues, if you clean up the liver, it'll clean up the eye problems.
Yeah, the colon also, If the colon has problems, constipation, diarrhea, general digestive disorders, all of them improve when the liver is cleaned up. The liver can't be any cleaner than the body lets it be. And the body can't be any healthier than the liver allows. It's circulate, it's circular, and all starts with how well that filtration system is supported. I mean, that makes a huge difference for me. I have to take Live Clean regularly. I have since I was little because I've had liver spots in my eyes. And then when I had babies, I'd get the maternity mask really bad and stuff. And so Live Clean is just something that I take. I one a day. Sometimes I miss a day here and there, but as a general rule, I just need to take it because my liver just needs that extra help. Maybe if I ate perfect, I wouldn't need it so bad, but I live on this earth and I have kids that love to bake.
Yeah. Well, and like with colon issues, constipation and diarrhea, they're the same issue, but opposite side. Like we often say, it's the same coin, but opposite sides of the coin. Whether you're constipated or have diarrhea, your colon is trying to flush and it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Granddad's story, the colitis basically was driving up the blood pressure in his body. There was his digestive system there was stress putting on his digestive system, which put stress on the rest of his body, and it showed up in his blood pressure. And
and when your colon's not working right, that backs up everything. That's like having a 15-car pile up on the freeway and expecting everything to keep moving.
Yeah.
All the toxins keep coming in, but they have nowhere to go. That seems like, does your blood pressure go up when you're in traffic? There we go.
There you go. And blood sugar has a lot to do with digestion, but like as Lynn says, when her blood sugar drops.
Oh yeah, everything stops functioning properly, which is just absolutely fascinating. So for me, when my blood sugar drops, my emotions go crazy. The biggest thing I ever ran into in a car was when my blood sugar was low. I should have eaten before I ran those errands, and I ran into a big box truck. I backed into it. Didn't even see it behind me because my blood sugar was so low that it just seriously makes us legally temporarily insane. Not literally, but I've lived it. Anybody who's had that felt shaky, achy, and emotional rawness, low blood sugar, I can't even talk today. Low blood sugar definitely does that. I've talked to people that when they work at a job, if they let their blood sugar get too low, it causes all sorts of problems. Their till is off. And if they're a cashier, they're all sorts of stuff. So it definitely, it affects your life and your digestion. And digestion is very much tied to what your blood sugar does.
Yeah. And I know Dr. James would often talk about low sugar as far as blood sugar, like the formula low sugar. Basically, you're so low, you're going to grab whatever is close and handy. So it's a soda, a candy bar, or whatever. And all that's going to do is spike your sugar, and then you're going to crash.
And then you're going to crash worse again later. Yeah, there's a high price to be paid for that.
Yeah.
Something that helped me, though, was either low sugar, but I started keeping a bottle of coconut oil in my bag. I would keep it... I don't use that fractionated coconut oil, whatever that stuff's called. It's got to be real coconut oil, even if you have to hold it for a minute for it to melt. A tablespoon of that or even a teaspoon of that would balance my sugars enough for me to make a good choice.
Which is always good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our digestive system, it does a whole lot, and issues can show up in other places throughout our body: skin, eyes, your mood, your blood pressure, your energy. None of it is different. So, like a lot of people say, if you just eat better, it will fix the problem. But before we started this podcast, Lynn's like, I don't know if I believe this. We skimmed over this part that food has a big effect on our bodies, and sometimes we can't get the best food.
Yeah, sometimes we just can't. Like in our society today, we don't do a lot of things that cultures have done for hundreds and thousands of years.
Mhm.
We don't include little things we wouldn't even know about, that we wouldn't even think of. And a lot of those come in the herbs. So I know that like Colser is one of them we're talking about for digestion. I've helped to make Colser before. That one does not smell pretty. It does not taste yummy. It is not something I would want to be sprinkling on my food or eating as a raw vegetable type thing. So I am really glad it's in a capsule. But if we're thinking that we can just change our food and it'll fix the problem, in today's in today's thing, we just usually cannot do that. And there's a reason. Dr. James compared his story. Dr. James compared it to blaming your tires for being addicted to air. If you're constantly adding air, you don't blame the tires. You look for the leak. Same with digestion. If you're always needing the laxative, the question isn't, why am I dependent on this herb? It's, what is the actual cause I haven't addressed yet? Which that makes a huge difference for me, because sometimes after all the eating good that I can do, I need to take Live Clean. If I don't take Live Clean, I can't fix it. Also for my bowels, I learned something cool like years ago, because I'm also anemic. And I learned that if your iron is too low, your bowels will not function properly if you're anemic. So for me, part of keeping my body functioning right is I have to take anemia sometimes. I don't need it all the time, but I've been surprised that somehow for my body is part of me keeping it running and keeping it with the nutrients that it needs. But seriously, don't blame your tire for needing air. Don't blame your body for needing food or water or a laxative every once in a while. But if you're taking 6 clean lax a day for a month at a time, you've got an underlying issue that really needs some solving that isn't going to be fixed by just changing your food.
Yeah, like a long time ago, we used to sell a big thing of herbs. It was 1,200, a box of 1,200 capsules, which was a lot. And one day, Dr. James was coming through, and I'm like, somebody just ordered a 1,200 box of Clean Lax, and he's like, no, he was really upset about it, because he's like, Clean Lax solves the temporary problem until you can find out what's going on. He's like, you need to be looking for what is going on, not just be like throwing a Band-Aid on it. And
for the rest of your life.
yeah. We do have people that do take a lot of Clean Lax, but they're like paraplegics, and their bowels don't
It
have
has to
feeling.
have the extra help.
Yeah. But if you're thinking, I'm going to go out for pizza and I'll just take Clean Lax later, that's probably not the best way to approach it.
Yeah, and you might need something else too, because Clean Lax just helps the bowels move. It doesn't help to heal the colon lining
Right.
and heal there's other nutrients that you need. Like if that's the lifestyle you want to live, add some Colser and some other things to it to help with the nutrients you need, because everybody does have their choice. If pizza is your favorite meal and you eat it for every meal, you get to choose it, but you get the consequences of it also.
Yeah. So we want to talk about some of the herb formulas that we use to go along with the digestive system. So the number one, the main one, is Colser. Now, this is the one that Dr. James gave that he created for his father. He always said it was a very simple formula. It was just golden seal, Oregon grapefruit, myrrh, and crane's bill. But then he also included marshmallow root to soothe. So those 5 herbs are amazing at helping the digestive system work correctly. It promotes really good intestinal flora. It's like, we've talked about the bugs before in our stomach, the bacteria and what's, they're basically flora. It's like plants. There's certain bacterial plants that are growing in our stomach that helps us to digest. And if you get out of balance, the golden seal, the Oregon grape really help with that. Crane's bill helps it to be able to flush, and like I said, marshmallow root soothes everything. So it helps with anything like diverticulosis, spastic colon, hemorrhoids, ulcers, colitis, any, you know, Jessica the other day was talking with somebody about their digestive issues, and they said they just can't get to the point where their bowels are moving correctly. And Jessica was like, well, take 12 Culcer a day for a week, and that will make a big difference.
And see what that does. Like and then she could back it off. Cause yeah, I've had to do things like that after a long trip and whatever, just to jumpstart another one that I use that helps me is the Live Clean. And because our liver is the filter. It's the filter of the body, and it helps to move all the toxins out. And so just like we were talking about after a trip, I need to use a bunch of Clean Lax. I always have to pay attention to if I need Live Clean after a trip also. So it filters the system. And Dr. James found that you cannot be any better, any healthier than your liver allows. The ingredients in Live Clean are mandrake root, which supports bile duct, liver, and kidneys, and gentian root, which liquefies and promotes bioflow. Dandelion root cleanses the liver, pancreas, gallbladder, and spleen. Cayenne stimulates digestive secretion. This is the formula behind the eye problems, behind the skin problems, and its improvements. Dr. James saw clinically for years. For him, that made a huge difference for all sorts of people. And I personally, in my life, have seen a huge difference, that it's just one of my go-tos.
Yeah, I think if there's two formulas, if they weren't here, I wouldn't be here. Bladney and Live Clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Dr. James was pretty sure I wasn't going to make it. And we can't even remember all the stuff that he had us do, but I know Live Clean was a major part of it.
That was a huge one. When somebody turns yellow, they need Live Clean.
Yeah, it's important.
And Jim was very yellow. I'm so glad he's here today that he got to live through that Dr. James helped him so that he could be here with me.
Yep. So another one of the essential formulas for digestive is colonic caps. There are some people that they swear by colonic caps because it's just like a broom. Basically, it makes them feel lighter because when they're consistent taking colonic caps, it sweeps everything out. And the more you do it, the more you get into the corners. It's kind of like Lynn used to do a thing called a 10-minute tidy, where everybody in the house had things that they would do for just 10 minutes to just tidy up the house. And within a week, the 10-minute tidies
They ended up being 2-minute tidies.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing left to do.
Yep. So colonic caps is the same thing. It's going to move everything out.
And over time, it gets better and more efficient and helps your body. And colonic caps, some people say, well, why do I need to add fiber? No matter what kind of fiber it is. Well, we live in a day and age in a society where all the fiber has been taken out of most everything that we eat. I mean, there's some people that eat really well and eat all their fiber and get variety and all of that. But there's a lot of ways we're not getting what we need, and colonic caps was designed perfectly balanced with all sorts of things, just to be able to make it so that your body has what it needs to have that fiber to move through, even if you can't do it on your own.
Yeah, well, and some of the plus about the major components of colonic caps is psyllium husk and diatomaceous earth. So the psyllium husk, once it gets wet, it kind of gets slippery, but it clings onto things, so it gets mucilaginous. It's such a hard word to say, but it gets mucilaginous, so it will basically it wraps around anything that it comes into contact, so it helps move stuff, but it also makes it so that it's easier to move. And then the diatomaceous earth, same kind of thing. It's not mucilaginous, but it pulls stuff from everywhere, and it also
helps to detoxify the system and the colon and addresses intestinal parasites.
Yeah,
that's a lovely word.
The thing about diatomaceous earth is in 1 tablespoon of diatomaceous earth, there's the same surface area as a football field. There is a lot of surface area, so the diatomaceous earth can hook onto and pull on things.
Grab all sorts of stuff and pull
Yeah.
it out of your system.
Yep. And then, so we also added some other fibers, apple fiber, oat bran, and grapefruit fiber. And those are very different fibers that pull toxins and help the bowels to move.
Yep. So another one of Dr. James's herbs is clean lax. We've kind of touched on this one a bit, but we kind of refer to it as the gentle mover. It's not addictive. Like I know some medicated laxatives say that they're addictive. You can only use them once a week and all sorts of stuff. This is not one of those. This is non-addictive herbal laxative for acute relief, but always paired with the question, what's causing the need for using the laxative? Like we've talked about already, is there something else? Because it helps in the moment, but if you're having to live on it, see if there's something else you can fix. It has magic root in it and senna leaf, which supports the laxative action, the getting things to move. Clove prevents the gripping and can come with a lot of herbal laxatives that make you feel horrible. But I wouldn't take clean lax in high dosages. If you take 6 of them and you don't need 6 of them, you're going to get all sorts of gripping and everything else you really don't want. There's one of my sisters accidentally took 6 clean lax instead of 6 Hayas one day. Her allergies did not improve and she spent the night on the toilet. She will never do that again. So another ingredient that's in it is Cascara sagrada, which reduces colon buildup and helps move things through. It's really good for clean lax if you use it short term while you're figuring out what the root cause is, but it doesn't have any major side effects if you need to use it long term. Like you were saying that some people that are paraplegics and stuff, they just need it because their body needs that stimulation that creates what it can't do on its own.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a safe option if needed, but if you really want to figure out what else is going on.
Yeah. So another formula that's not as common because Zyme. Basically, if you need it, Zyme is amazing. Basically, it has a lot of plants from the mint family: peppermint, spearmint, catnip. They're all wonderful to help give your body what it needs to break down food. So it works like an enzyme, and it's really useful if you have a hard time digesting food, if you've got a lot of inflammation, if when you eat, if your stomach just feels off, that's when you would take Zyme.
Yeah, and I've had some times in my life, if my stomach has been feeling a little off anyways, I'll just take 2 Zyme before I eat each time for a few days or a week, and it really, really makes a difference for me. That's also one that if you have a child that gets cranky in the evening after dinner and kind of gets depressed and stuff like that, Zyme is one that if you can get it in their diet before dinner, it helps their body digest better and helps their brain function. There's something in their system that is not moving through properly that really affects a child's well-being. So that's one that makes a huge difference. Another herb that we use for the digestive tract because people have blood sugar issues is low sugar and high sugar. Those are 2 separate formulas. One of them is for if your sugars drop low, and one of them is for if your sugars drop high. If they rise high, their blood sugar stabilizers, connecting back to Dr. James's legally temporarily insane point. Because actually, if your sugar is really, really high, you have a lot of the same symptoms as the people that have the really low blood sugar. Your body is just dealing with it in a completely different way. So low sugar uses licorice root to stimulate the adrenal gland and maintain blood sugar in hypoglycemia, with kelp, Siberian ginseng, thyme, chamomile, and garlic supporting the thyroid, pituitary, and overall glandular balance. Stabilizing blood sugar is digestive support and emotional support at the same time. So low sugar is the one I've used a lot.
Yeah. I actually have a friend who, for a long time, used to drink energy drinks, so had a lot of caffeine and stuff. And so basically when you're hitting caffeine that hard, your your glandular system kind of like takes a back seat because it's like, well, I don't need to do that. And low sugar is great at kickstarting your glandular system back into like, hey, there's something you got to be doing here.
You're not doing your work, you slacker.
Yeah. No sitting back and doing nothing. So it really makes a big difference. And the amazing thing is because the glandular system was taking a break because of all the caffeine it was fed, it really affects their emotional state. So adding in this formula, the low sugar, basically you're kickstarting the glandular balance, but it also helps with your emotional state because your glandulars are back to functioning. So which herb for what, when, we've kind of touched on all of them. Basically, you look at the effects that it has. A liver problem. There's liver pain, which is you're kind of past.
So where in the body is that? If you're feeling liver pain, where would you describe that as?
So that is on the right side, just next to your ribs, just above, like if you have those two floating ribs, right behind there, that's where your liver is.
Oh, so if you feel achy over there, that maybe it's liver.
Mm.
There's also, if you've seen the Chinese body clock or whatever that is, if you're waking up at the liver time of night, that means take Live Clean. And then there's also if you have skin issues or the eye issues, that those could be the signs that it's not, you don't just need a laxative, you need to add some Live Clean to it to clean up your liver so that your digestive can function properly.
Yeah, it's like like Lynn was talking about me turning yellow. Basically, the whites of your eyes will actually turn yellow before your skin does. So if you're seeing any discoloration in the whites of your eyes, it's time to start paying attention to your liver.
I love that Live Clean is it is one that functions to bowel tolerance. So one is usually enough. It's not one you take 6 of ever, I don't think.
Yeah.
At least I've never had to take 6 of them. But it's a slow, steady cleanse that doesn't put you in bed for the weekend. I know that Dr. James has all sorts of cleanses you can do and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been able to do those, but I can take Live Clean regularly. And it just helps to keep my body in balance. So I love Live Clean.
It's not one of those cleanses that puts you in bed for a week, puts you into a cleanse crisis or anything like that.
Yeah, as long as you're not taking a handful of it.
Yeah, if you take too much, it will put you in a cleanse crisis. But
yeah.
So another thing to ask yourself: is your stomach really bloated? Are you really tired at night? If you have those going on, your colon's most likely backed up.
Yeah, some people say, well, how can my colon be backed up? I go to the bathroom every day. Well, is your body getting rid of everything that you've eaten, or has it ever been backed up and have extra in it? There can still be stuff that needs to move, even if you think you've gone already.
Yeah. And like Lynn mentioned, blood sugar and anxiety issues, if you have somebody that gets depressed after they eat,
definitely something
check
could
on
be
the
going on
the blood sugar. Yeah.
And then there's the digestive enzyme problem. Is that showing up? That's a really good question to ask yourself. Does your body need digestive enzymes to help digest things? There's so many things in our environment, in our food, in our dish soap that makes it so that our digestive system is having to work overtime and sometimes doesn't have all the base building blocks it needs because something we put through our system that we didn't even realize was going to do that shuts down or depletes things in our digestive enzymes. So it's really important to make sure that you make sure those are taken care of.
Yep. So to walk through the stomach stack. So Colser, whatever stomach thing you've got going on, Colser is it. Take Colser.
Yeah. So you take that no matter which other things you take.
Yeah. No matter what stomach, if it has to do with your digestive system, Colser. Just start with Colser. Then the next one would be the liver. Like we mentioned, if you have discomfort, bloating, pain, pressure on the right side, just next to your ribs, it's your liver. If your bowels aren't moving extremely quickly, then it's your liver. Skin, anything shows up in your skin or your eyes, That's
Yeah.
the liver.
And if you're steadily waking up between 1 and 3 in the night and having to run for the bathroom, that's typically a sign that's on the Chinese chart that's a sign
liver.
that your liver is, because that's when your liver cleanses itself. So if it's struggling, it's getting you up in the night instead of you being able to sleep through that cleansing process.
Yep. And then colonic caps is, that's the broom. It cleans out whatever.
The ongoing fiber, yeah.
Yep. And Clean Lax is, it's, for most people, it's an as needed. Some people might need it more often, but for almost just about anybody, it's as needed. But an important thing too, like to think about, is if you only need 2 Clean Lax and you have a bottle, it's totally fine to keep it in, put it in your cupboard so it's not in direct sunlight, but it will keep.
Yeah, it keeps for a long time. Long time. Yep.
Yep. So it's not like you have to buy a new bottle every time you have a digestive issue.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I keep in my pantry, even if we don't need it, because it's one of those emergency items I keep.
Mm-hmm.
When you are having a backed up problem that's causing major problems, and even if my kids or whatever, that's one I never, ever, ever want to be without. So I always keep it in my cupboard. Even if we're not using it on a regular basis, I never want to be without it.
Yeah. And when we talk about emergency, it's in the afternoon, you're feeling kind of off. And by evening, you really, really got to go, but nothing's happening. That is an emergency. If you haven't gone for 6 weeks, you're kind of behind the 8 ball on that one.
Yeah, you got a lot of cleaning up to do.
When it comes to herbs, you want to catch it as early as possible and
Stay on top of it. Mm-hmm. You start it when you got a little tingle, not when you wait till you're on your deathbed in the hospital.
Yeah. And then Zyme, basically, if you're not digesting well, get bloated, gas after you eat,
If you can't have a cup of tea everywhere you go, Zyme in your purse is a cup of tea and a pill.
Yep.
Okay, so it takes a mindset shift. Stop asking, what do I take for the symptoms? And start asking, what is the symptom telling me about a different system? That's the whole shift Dr. James made after the call with his dad. It changed how he practiced for the rest of his life.
Yep. So Dr. James, when he made that formula for Granddad, he was out to fix his blood pressure issue that he knew about. He didn't know that he was needing to support the digestion, but it solved the digestion, and it solved a lot of people's issues for the last 45 years.
Yep. Digestion problems are never just about the food. I mean, I've tried for years to fix it with just food. That doesn't work. They're a messenger. Skin, eyes, blood pressure, mood, energy. If something in your body isn't working right, look at the gut first. It's usually involved somewhere in that.
Yeah. So basically, any digestive issue, start with Colser, add Live Clean if your liver's not doing what it needs to. Low sugar, high sugar if there's blood sugar issues, and Clean Lax and colonic caps if you got to clean out the pipes. But that's, doing those will change a whole lot of different things. Dr. James, when somebody would come to see him, he'd say, well, which one is bothering you the most now? And it usually fell to a digestive issue, and he would fix that, and it would fix many other issues. If somebody comes with a litany list of, I've got this going on, I've got this going on, I've got this going on, he would say, okay, well, which one's bothering you the most right now? And generally it was digestive, and just cleaning up the digestion cleaned up everything else.
Yep. The tipping point. Yep.
So it was great to share all of this with you. If you have any questions, give us a call. You can get to us from our website, Drug Free Help Store, and we will look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks.
Listening to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast with Jim Applegate. Visit drugfreehelpstore.com to download your free Healer in Every Home guidebook and explore herbal formulas that support your health naturally. Be sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves natural living as much as you do. Thanks for joining us, and remember, true healing starts at home.
It is not the intent of professional herbal instruction or any persons associated therewith to diagnose or prescribe. The intent is only to offer herbal information for your consideration. In the event you use this information without your doctor's approval, you are prescribing for yourself, which is your God-given right. But professional herbal instruction or any persons associated herewith assume no responsibility. The claims and statements made on this podcast have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.